Decision Plus has been and still is a leading stock market service provider. From training to coaching, we cover it all. Try both our software as well as our coaching site, completely free for 10 days without obligation. No credit card is needed to sign up for the trial. The trial subscription will be automatically canceled for you at the end. DecisionPlus.com, your stock market service center. Real-time coaching has been created. We search and classify critical reports and technical movements. You can visualize or hear the best buying and selling opportunities. Get real-time advice all day long and 3 live coaching shows per day. Let us do the work and save your time for trading. Try MarketGurus.tv free without obligation for 10 days in the menus above. Market Vision Plus is the trading companion of so many investors. Make your fundamental and technical analysis easy with Canada's #1 stock market decision-making software. Research, decide, and follow your positions with Market Vision Plus. See the menus just above this program and try Market Vision Plus for 10 days without any obligation after the show. When it comes to day trading, Trader Plus is the right tool. Track 50 quotes simultaneously. Create dozens of quick lists. Display as many as 30 real-time intraday charts at the same time. Watch the action with candlesticks or bar charts as fast as 10 seconds. See the market by sectors. Use the chart models already prepared for you. Try Trader Plus for 10 days in the menu above without any obligation.
Hello everybody, welcome to the Swing Trading Show. Today we're Monday, September 14, 2015. Markets remain calm today, even in the opportunities for day trading have been really rare. We don't expect markets to have a lot of volatility ahead of the Fed decision this Thursday. So we still have this neutral range that persists on NASDAQ, Dow Jones, SPY, and also on the TSX, but actually on the TSX we're a little bit weaker though because we have a lot of selling pressure from the energy sector, which is clearly testing again its support. Concerning gold, we had a slight intraday rebound, but definitely gold or silver are all sectors I would avoid ahead of the FOMC announcement. We also have some weakness in other sectors, such as the consumer discretionary sector, but really it's a situation where there's a lot of weakness. And talking of the industrial sector, I know that last week Bombardier has been one of the best performer throughout last week, but what we said is that it was important to take some profit in Bombardier. You see today the stock lost 14%. So I really hope, sincerely hope that those of you who have participated in this short-term rally in Bombardier have already taken some profit on that stock. Now, if we take a look at the situation here on the energy sector, what's the strategy? Well, there's still right now a lot of new brokerage firms or banks that continue to see a weakness in oil prices throughout 2016. Goldman Sachs said that they could expect oil prices to be towards $20 a barrel because the demand would not be strong enough to meet supply. So oil today made a low, finally got back. So this was the target, 14.25. And on MarketGurus.tv that you can have access for free for 10 days, what we have advised to do is to actually, if you are getting into some bearish ETF on oil, that 14.25 was the target. Why? Because if we put a 30-minute 250 period, we still see that oil here has reached the low of its downward corridor, and this is where the resources have started to stabilize. So at opening, it was really interesting to cash in for those of you who bought some bearish ETF either here or there on the energy sector or on oil. And if we take a look at the situation here, the energy sector pursues its decline, but there are not a lot of new selling signals. So far, if we take a look at some stocks that we have in our analyst choice portfolio in MarketGurus.tv, Our energy positions that we have shorted, such as Enerplus, that we have recommended as a short here, we're not yet in a situation where we could take some profit. But if ever the stock continues its decline, 650 is the point where we're going to make about 10% compared to the price that we shorted it on Friday. So if ever Enerplus reaches at least, we can make at least a 5 or 6% throughout the day. If the weakness in the energy sector is confirmed, we make a new low intraday, then we're going to be quick to take some profit. And why it's important to take some profits quickly is because we don't expect to have a lot of volatility or to have indices to get out of their neutral range ahead of the FOMC announcement. However, throughout this neutral range, within this neutral range, if ever you have some short positions or you can take some profits, do it, because by being able to take some profits in the positions when the markets are staying within their neutral range, you'll get some cash and you'll be more prepared whenever we have the new cycle in the market. Is it going to be on the downside? Is it going to be on the upside? The debate with the Fed is going to be really heated because so far we don't know what the Fed is going to do. Some say they're going to keep the status quo because based on the recent market events, what happened in China, so if ever the second economy is not doing well, there's some doubts that the growth for China in 2016 won't be met, the growth target, the GDP growth target of 7%. So is the Fed going to weigh in more those volatility that happened recently, especially in the Chinese market, or will the Fed doesn't take that into account, take a look only at the US economy, which is growing, which is adding jobs, where the data a little bit more solid, not as solid, but a little bit more solid compared to the rest of the world. And if the Fed only takes that into account, well, they might raise interest rate, but they might raise interest rate really gradually. And even if they raise it by 0.25% or so, this is not going to have a significant negative impact on the markets, though, because it still will be a minimum. But if the Fed doesn't do it on this Thursday, well, they have October and December where they're going to take a decision. So really, ahead of the FOMC announcement, opening some positions for swing trading, we think on marketgurus.tv is not the appropriate strategy to do so. So before I take a look with the questions, so let's take a look at some stocks here that have been active, one of the best breakouts and breakdowns. There's Foundation Medicine. The thing in Foundation Medicine, we could reach $30. So that's a target you have on a stock like that. Except that I'd like to see the stock on its intraday chart to at least maintain its highs. So if ever around 230 or so, the stock is not able to stay above $25, for me, that will be a false signal. And you see that $30 definitely corresponds to the next target on a stock like that. Also, we have Datalink, but look, Datalink, it's really limited to 665 though. We could definitely consider that as a rebound as well, right? Forget it, I don't like it. Syngenta, Sagent Pharmaceutical, sorry, but the stock rebounded intraday-wise. So if you take a look at the intraday chart here, this is a risk because we don't have the selling pressure. Actually, we have a wave of buyers that's coming in. So that shorting signal might be a false one. So this is why I kind of don't like this one here. Windstream, what we like with Windstream is that even if there's a risk that the stock might stop at $6, actually $6, which is that support, it's still enough to make 10% compared to the actual price. So this is why the fact that it has reversed its upward trend is actually why we thought that this stock could be interesting. However, the risk is that it's already losing 7.43%. So therefore, I would say instead of putting your stop loss above this resistance of 775, that would be too much of a loss potential because the stock is already losing 7.43%. I would say put it slightly above this former support, so around 750. So from 750 here, there's 50 cents to be lost. I know it could be a loss, but I think this is something you could do instead of putting your stop loss at this point here if ever the stock breaks 775. And WW Grainger, a short position as well, but the stock has a target towards what, 210, 208, not enough. Allegheny Technology, I'd like to see more decline on that stock, intraday wise especially. So far the stock is stabilizing. We have some buyers who are coming in the stochastics. So on a new low, if it goes below 1710, that will confirm the strength of the breakdown. Forget Inter Resources. So really we have very, very few breakouts and breakdowns that are interesting today, which is consistent with what I told you, which is that for swing trading, it's mostly a no-go on the markets. Now, we have one question here from Eric. Eric, Dajin Resources, is it a buy? Well, Eric, this is why it's not a buy. It's because our strategy on MarketGurus.tv is usually we confirm if a stock is a buy if, first of all, we had a sideways formation. So this was a sideways formation because you see that every time the stock tested 99 cents, it went down. It did it here, it did it there also as well. So that was a sideways formation. When we break out of the sideways formation, so when the stock broke out on September 8th, that was a buying signal. And you see it performed really well. Now, when you have a stock that has already broken out, such as Dajin Resources, and has rallied for the last 2-3 days, for the next 2-3 days, it's a stock that is pursuing its bullish cycle, and we don't recommend those stocks as a buying signal because when a stock has been rallying for the next 2-3 days, the risk is that the wave of the upward momentum that bring the stock higher will fade. And if we take a look at this stock here, we see that the stock is already reaching the top of an upward corridor. It's in the resources sector. We see when the stock has reached the top of this upward corridor, we lost an upward momentum. The stock stayed flat. So for me, that stock is not a buy. What you should wait for is to see when can the stock stabilize again. You have a stochastic that's so close to the overbought situation. So if you buy it today, there's a risk that the stock might go down, just like Bombardier did, as you saw earlier. So this is why I think that I'd like to see the stock confirm an overbought situation on the stochastic, stabilize, and then if ever the stock could actually go higher than 15 cents, that would be a go. But right now, the ones who were able to benefit from this rally have been the ones who bought that stock on September 8th. And if you had MarketGurus.tv, I'm sure you would have been able to spot that breakout because technically speaking, there's no way that we could have missed this breakout on MarketGurus.tv on September 8th when the stock broke out of its neutral range. So for today, it's not a buy. Now, AST, okay. I'm not sure if you have the right ticker, Paul. So make sure that you write the right ticker, Paul, so I can answer your question.
Find answers to your questions by emailing your host at btm@decisionplus.com.
5 good reasons to manage your investments with National Bank Direct Brokerage. Commission fees fixed at $9.95 anytime for all clients and starting at only $6.95 for active investors. No administrative fees if you hold at least $20,000 in your accounts. Registered accounts available in U.S. currency. Powerful tools to help you manage your portfolio. Award-winning customer service and satisfaction levels amongst the highest in the industry. To learn more, visit nbdb.ca or call us now.
Real-time coaching has been created. We search and classify critical reports and technical movements. You can visualize or hear the best buying and selling opportunities. Get real-time advice all day long and 3 live coaching shows per day. Let us do the work and save your time for trading. Try MarketGurus.tv free without obligation for 10 days in the menus above.
So hi Paul, so I finally found it. So the stock is an Amex. You wrote Q. I thought it was a NASDAQ, but it's an Amex. So you bought AST at 440, keep or sell. I think right now you should definitely take some profits. I will not sell everything, but you bought at 440. Right now the stock is trading at 489. So it's clearly a profit-taking opportunity. You're making at least 10% on a stock like that. Now I think you bought that stock on a great timing. I'm just gonna take a look at the volume and balance here on that stock. Let's just put it here. So you bought at 440. Well, we got a slight surge on the volume and balance. It was really limited. So I would take some profit. Why I would hold that stock? Because we still have a higher bottom on the stochastics, which is a good thing. We still have the 200-day moving average that's at 550. So 550 will be the point where I will totally sell all the position, right? Because there's a lot of congestion there at 550. But 440 to 489, take some profit. It's important to do so, especially ahead of the FOMC announcement. I think it's important to put some cash. 550 will be the point where you will totally close that position, but you really did a nice trade there Paul. So I want to congratulate you on that. Now, Lynn, possible crash in September worse than 2008. What do you think? Well, Lynn, I think I don't like to predict the future, but it's really unlikely to have the 2008 crash. Why? Because first, American companies are making money. Yes, the earnings growth is not as great, but they're still making money. Second thing, regulations for banks have been tightened. So banks are not taking as much risk as they used to be. There's some regulations that are in place, new rules to make sure that those banks, if ever they're lending some money, that they keep some reserves. So the financial system, I would say, is a little bit more protected. Yes, there are some fears concerning China, that China might slow down, but China's economy is still growing, which is something that's good. Not as fast, but it's still something that's good. Now there's the Eurozone. Eurozone countries, we're starting to see some surge in economic indicators. Inflation is stable. The quantitative easing program is having some effect. So those are all some things that are becoming more positive. The economy is growing, but it's still fragile. Can we have the same thing that happened in 2008? I think with the new regulations for the banks, the fact that companies are still making some money, those are all some factors that makes the economy a little bit more solid compared to 2008, where people were borrowing excessively, banks were lending to anyone, especially for the housing boom. So those are all some factors that are not as positive. Also in China, property prices, real estate, so far the prices are staying slightly stable. There are no fears of a crash in real estate in China. So those are all some things that are more positive though, and which makes me doubt that we're gonna have a crash like 2008. Of course, there are some events that we cannot predict, but with the data that we have, 2008, I don't think the scenario is possible, even if the Fed takes a decision to raise interest rate. Because all central banks around the world are all being accommodative. Central Bank of Eurozone, of the ECB, the Bank of Japan, the Bank of Canada, the Fed. So if the central bank is supporting the economy, well, why should we have a crash, right? But so far, this is actually my personal view. Now, Lynn, you want to invest in silver. Is AG a good buy? Well, first, I would say that AG, yes, indeed, it is in a clear bottom. However, I would not get into any silver or gold stock ahead of the FOMC announcement, because if ever the Fed raises interest rate, we could expect to have some selling pressure on silver and gold stocks because there are no inflation fears, and if they raise interest rate, it's going to be negative for the resources. So definitely, I think that AG bottom here could be broken down. So this is what I'd like to see, how the market is going to digest the Thursday announcement, and then I might consider AG as a buy, but it will be definitely a short-term buy. First, stochastics needs to be towards the 40% range. We'll need to have the stock that can at least go above $3. If it goes above $3, we could expect the stock to reach $3.64. But so far, first, not buy today. Wait for the FOMC announcement. $3 would be a buy. $3.64 profit-taking opportunity. Stochastics needs to be towards 30%. Do you know if there's some data tomorrow in the US who can have an impact? Tomorrow, there's no data that we know of, or Sergio, that could have an impact. I think right now all eyes are on the Fed, and it's on Thursday. So Thursday, we don't expect to have heightened volatility in the market until Thursday. So this is why we think for swing trading, it's too risky to open any position. And on Friday, we have the quadruple witching day. This is where we might expect to have heightened volatility. So Thursday and Friday of this week are going to be two important dates where I think you should follow the markets more closely. But when markets are so neutral like right now, there are no particular sectors who are standing out and no particular nice possible breakouts or breakdowns that could happen on any particular sector. So folks, I have questions from Andy and Sally and Sal. I'm going to take them tomorrow. I want to show you here quickly the day trade of the day. It is APDN on NASDAQ. So that has been our best performer. But you see how quickly you have to take some profit because that stock here, entry point here, entry point there, another one here. And now the stock is having a wave of selling pressure. So if you bought it here or there, you have to quickly take some profit on that stock. Now the new entry point is going to be higher than 530 on a stock like APDN. And that's a scenario that we have seen throughout the day, where a lot of stocks, they have performed well, but at a certain point, sellers came and they quickly took some profit. And this is why, Paul, if you bought AST at 440, you're already making 10%, it's important to take some profits quickly. So this is it, folks. See you tomorrow on the Swing Trading Show on DecisionPlus.com. As I said, I'll take the questions from Louis, Sal, and Ed tomorrow on the Swing Trading Show. Thank you.